Dragon Quest V is one of the greatest stories ever told, but there's a catch. It's not on the most desirable of platforms. Nevertheless, it's a story you need to experience. Your grandma needs to experience. No, even your dog needs to experience this. I am here to narrate you through not only the story's events, but also the setting, the tone, the raw emotions as the hero sets forward on his adventure. I make sure to include the snippets of world building and expand the story further by fusing relevant lore drops with the game's events to flow naturally into the story to invoke a larger emotional impact and leave you with more emotional resonance in my narration, giving it my all to do justice to this title. So here's a quick recap. Thanks for watching and subscribe if you enjoy. Previously on Dragon Quest V, Bianca was kidnapped on the night of her children's birth and Luca tracks her down. After a long battle, Larger arrives and the two turn to stone. They're found and sold off at an auction. Split apart, Luca was forced to watch every second of 7 entire years, forced to watch a newborn baby grow up and get kidnapped, reminding him of his own traumatic life. After many years, he was found by Sancho and his children, who set him free. His son is the legendary hero, and together they found clues of his mother's birthplace and investigate the land of the heavenly descendants. He must find clues on the whereabouts of the heavenly dragon tower and explores the world he once knew long ago to see how much has changed. Luca began his journey of revisiting the world with his hometown of Wheelbrook. It is still decimated to ruins. However, the young boy who lived at the local inn has now all grown up and he owns an armory for any passing travellers. The old man that was so close to Pancras for many years and knew Luca as a baby is still alive. However, he doesn't actually remember Luca. He's acting as if he's a mere stranger. There wasn't much left in Wheelbrook, so instead he checked out the nearby Alcapa. The villagers have heard rumours saying the Demon Lord is on his way to this world, but the good news is you can be saved if you join the Followers of Light. But some people would rather live in ignorant bliss and carry on with their daily lives, in denial of the lingering threats. In the bar, a man tells a tale of the legendary hero. It's a very old story. But once upon a time, the Dark Emperor Estark revived and plunged the world into chaos, but hope wasn't lost. A hero wearing the heavenly ornaments beat Estark and saved the world. The heavenly Togri wore a helm, a shield, a suit of armor, and a sword. What happened after that isn't fully known. One story says he returned to heaven, but no matter what, it's an old tale and not amongst the living anymore. Perhaps the hero's offspring could be around somewhere. The Inn of Alcapa has devoted itself to the Followers of Light. All of their earnings are donated to the cause. They don't have any money of their own. The Followers of Light's temple is up on Mount St. Velez, so high up, no average person can reach it. Luca had decided to revisit the sisters at the Abbey to see those who saved his life once again. It's a chapel restricted for women only, but one old woman out the front remembers Luca's kind eyes, remembering he is the one in search of his mother. She learns that Luca also searches for his wife, who has been turned to stone. The once little girl being raised in the Abbey wishes to one day have a prince arrive on a white horse to take her away, like one did for Sister Maria a long time ago. A sister in the Abbey tells Luca a strange story she heard about a forest that leads to a fairy village east of a town called Sarabona. The next visit on his trip down memory lane had no other options to be Coburg Castle to say hello to his best friend. A travelling merchant within Coburg says that just west of here is a cave surrounded by mountains. Rumour has it there's one-of-a-kind treasure there, but the cave is teeming with monsters. A sister in the church notices her heart is in chaos. She feels a great evil beginning to encroach upon the world. Luca speaks to the soldiers on his way to Harry. They're a bit troubled at the moment. Since Prince Collins has left one soldier with a bump on his head, the prince is probably bound in tears. King Dale does not intend to marry, in order to prevent any power struggle in the kingdom that could tear it apart, which means the next king will be Lord Harry's son, Prince Collins. Prince Collins seems to have a lot of people amongst the castle on edge, especially those with a fear of rats. If he finds out you don't like rats, he will catch one and put it on your head. Lord Harry does not know what to do in regard to Prince Collins' pranks. I guess he takes after his father. Collins seems to prank everyone, except this one little girl, who's actually very sweet to. It finally reached the moment where Luca and Harry could meet once again. Harry apologizes to his guest for his son's rudeness and realizes in that moment that Luca has returned. He's been waiting so long for this moment and he was so happy when he heard Luca had returned to Gotha. Luca's the kind of guy that just finds trouble everywhere he goes. Harry formally introduces his son Collins, who takes Faith and Brenno on a tour of the castle. Luca, after reminiscing with Harry, eventually goes off to find his kids, who are panicking. Prince Collins has disappeared. Brenno opened up a chest after he was told to find some lackey's badge, and then he up and disappeared, but Luca knew right where to search. This whole trick felt so nostalgic to him. He showed his kids the secret stairway leading downstairs, where they found Prince Collins. He gets dragged away by the Chancellor for playing pranks again. He terrorizes the kingdom as much as Harry once did. The influence of the Followers of Light has reached all corners of the globe, even in the Western continent, over in the town of Zoomfen. The rumours of kidnapped slaves being forced to make temples were spreading, but also a woman is selling a book written by Lord Ibul, a great leader of the Followers of Light. Out of curiosity, Luca buys the book. The woman says the Followers of Light are the only ones who will bring peace to the world. Sancho glances at a passage in this book and instantly dismisses it. He notices it's a really skewed and warped view on things in the world. Luca naturally travels further west, and the thought of Bianca had never left his mind, but he must be patient. For now, he wants to travel to the nameless village where Bianca and Duncan lived, to check in on Duncan and his health. The small nameless village is almost untouched. It's still cozy and sweet, and it now has a full-blown church. Duncan is still alive and well. He subtly scolds Luca for not visiting him for so many years, until he hears what happened. But despite everything, he chooses not to worry about his daughter Bianca. He has faith in his son to find her. And he notices the small children with Luca. And he learns that he's now a grandfather, and he sees himself within his grandchildren. He appreciated that Luca stopped by to check on his health, and Luca and the family take a ship for a few nights to travel down to the kingdom of Telpador. Luca remembering that Queen Isis currently has possession of the legendary helm, and she is waiting for the day the legendary hero shall arrive. Several days ago, the heavens blessed Isis with a startling revelation: the arrival of the legendary hero. She notices Luca's son immediately and says hello, reminiscing about how time has flown and how now Luca has his own children. But she senses something from Brenno, something overwhelming her. She urgently escorts the family to the shrine, and this may be what the startling revelation had predicted, and she needs to test for certain whether this boy is the legendary hero. The helm was passed over to Brenno, and when he put it on his head, it was too large for him. It didn't fit, yet magically, the heavenly helm slowly shrunk down to size, now fitting him perfectly, meaning the prophecy has been fulfilled. Only Prince Brenno can destroy the darkness and return balance to the world. The final stop on Luca's journey is onward south to Sarabona. As Luca enters the town, it's impossible to avoid the shouts from Mr. Ludman. Something is going down, something regarding the watchtower. He storms away and Luca finds Flora. He's greeted by Andy, who is now married to Flora, and they often reminisce about Luca's story in the good old days. Flora lives in complete happiness with Andy. She's truly in love, but something is bothering them lately. Mr. Ludman is acting peculiar recently. Sure, he's always been a little bit restless and furious, but this time is different. Maybe Mr. Ludman would open to Luca, as he's someone he trusts very highly. Mr. Ludman's wife is so happy to see that Luca has come to visit, but she's troubled. She says ever since a travelling merchant set up shop in town, her husband hasn't been well, but he won't say anything. Luca goes to investigate, and Mr. Ludman doesn't hesitate to open up to Luca. He says to listen closely. He seems urgent. The island west of the nameless village north of Sarabona, there's a small shrine on a tiny island. Inside the shrine, there's a single old jar. He needs Luca to examine the jar and report its colour back to him. It may seem silly, but if it turns out the shrine's jar is red, Luca must urgently hurry back. Being such an easy request, Luca takes the ship north to the shrine and sees the jar for himself. As he approaches, he watches the shrine's ground disappear beneath him and follows the mystical spiral staircase down to the bottom. He is shocked to see a bleeding crimson red aura emanating from the jar. Luca hurries back to report this to Mr. Ludman, who's waiting within the watchtower. He can tell by the expression on Luca's face, the jar was crimson red, which means they've run out of time. There's a terrifying beast sealed in that jar which is about to break free. 150 years ago, Mr. Ludman's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather sealed it inside the jar. But that seal will soon fade away, unleashing it upon the world once again. That demon will surely be out for blood and set his sights on Mr. Ludman, and soon after, the world. Together, Luca, Bueno, Faith, and trusty Sancho combined their efforts in battle. Luca and Bueno focused on healing, whilst Faith had sapped Bjorn countless times, making him more vulnerable to attacks. Sancho may not be the strongest, but he held to the backline, casting a buff on the group time and time again, ensuring their safety. Bjorn has a number of spells that weakened the family's spells and nearly killed them countless times. As Luca and Bueno focused switching between all-out attacks in support of the group, Faith had turned herself into a mighty dragon and spewed fire around Bjorn, turning the tides of battle. As the group slowly began trickling out of magic, Bjorn finally succumbed to his defeat. They had saved Santa Rosa and maybe the world, but there's more lingering threats that await the family. Now they are stronger, wiser, and more determined to defeat the followers of light and save Luca's mother, Martha, and his wife, Bianca.